So today let's talk about Ngondro, the preliminary practice, which is quite important for all the Vajrayana practitioner. And as soon as you enter into, so if some of you don't know the Vajrayana practitioner, so in Buddhism, so we talk about like the Hinayana, like a Theravada, for example, which is same name. And Theravada, Mahayana, and then within the Mahayana, so there's a Vajrayana. In the Vajrayana practice, as soon as you enter to Vajrayana practice, of course, you have to take a refuge. But in the Vajrayana refuge is slightly different than other Theravada and Mahayana, because in Theravada, Mahayana, so they take a refuge in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, which is three jewels. But in the Vajrayana, we have to take a refuge in Lama, so which means four jewels than three. So after you taking a refuge, you have to do the Ngondro, which means the preliminary practice for go further. So you have to do, for example, what are the Ngondro? Normally we call it Bumma. Bumma means 100,000 5 times. So first you have to do the 100,000 prostration with 100,000 refuge while you are doing the prostration, and then after that you do the 100,000s of Vajrasattva chanting, and after that you do the 100,000 of mandala practice, and then you do the 100,000s of Guru Yoga. And many Vajrayana practitioners ask me like, oh, it's very difficult. I mean, especially the prostration, because you have to just. People, when they do 3 times, they're already kind of sweating, and then if you do 10 times, 100 times, and now 1,000 and 100,000, that's a not small number for especially whose body are quite stiff. It's quite tough. And some people ask me like, why we have to do all this prostration, don't just Simpa and Vajrasattva and Guru Yoga and all these things. What is what are we preparing for? Why they call it preliminary? I mean, see, Vajrayana is what we call sometimes the secret yana. It's lots of secret behind. Secret in the sense, every sentence, normally we say there is an outer meaning, there is an inner meaning, and there's a secret meaning. So when you look at the Vajrayana practice, many people in the beginning, they really don't understand. Maybe outer meaning, they might be say, okay, it's for purification, you will purify your body, mind from many lifetime karma, and then you have to accumulate more merit so that you will. So that's more like from the outer explanation. But then there's an inner explanation, a secret explanation, and every teaching have these 3: outer, inner, and the secret description and explanation. So now it's interesting in the Vajrayana why you need to take a refuge in Lama, because that the secret is not mentioned in the book. In the book, normally it mentioned about the outer explanation, and if a little bit more, maybe inner explanation, but not the secret part. The secret part is the transmission that you will receive from your teacher. So in Vajrayana, we normally call it root teacher, like who really understand the secret, not like just you read it from book and then copy and paste. I mean, that doesn't work in Vajrayana. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what are that's very profound, but I can just touch very surface, and then maybe it might make a little bit help for you. In order to understand this 5 preliminary, and sometimes we call it 4, because the prostration and the refuge goes together. See, in Vajrayana, whatever we are doing the practice, there's 3 things we have to keep in mind. The Tsa Lung Tikli, which is the channel, second is the wind, and third one is the Bindu. In this case, Bindu simply you can understand in the way the awareness, the consciousness. And the Bindu can be white Bindu and red Bindu, so which we will explain in the channel. So when you talk about the channel, so whole Vajrayana practice, prostration, doing the circumambulate and everything, chanting mantra, we are working toward our body. It's not we are working somewhere outside. We are working with our body and the wind and then the mind itself. Now listen carefully. When you are working with the body, so Vajrayana is not looking this body as a flesh and bone and all these nerves and no. Vajrayana is looking at it as a Vajra body. That's why I see Vajrayana, Vajra body. Why they call it Vajra body? Because there is a central channel which starts from here, from the head chakra, and then it will end 4 fingers below the navel. There's a central channel. I don't want to go too detail into central channel. And then there's a right channel which is connected to the right nostril, and the left channel connected to the left nostril. So these are the main 3 channels. And when it is purified, that becomes 3 kayas. Dharma kaya, Sambhoga kaya, Nirvana kaya. When they are not purified, which means they are in a state of 3 poisons. And after that, so you have to understand that we are working with the 5 chakras. Head chakra, navel chakra, heart chakra, and the throat chakra, heart chakra, navel chakra, and sacral chakra. But when you comes to the Mahamudra practice, mostly we just focus on the 4 chakras. Let's not go into that part. So come back to the Ngondro, the preliminary practice, and how it is connected to our channels. In order to understand, you have to understand connect with the 5 chakra. There are 72,000 channels in the body, and then there are millions of other kind of subdivision of the channels. So here is the white bindu, and 4 fingers below the navel bindu there is a red bindu, which is cha lung thikli, the bindu. So where the alaya consciousness is kind of staying in there. So here is the wisdom channel. Here is the alaya consciousness, the karmic central channel is there, and also life force is there. So those we have to explain in the later part. But let's talk about why we have to do prostration first. The prostration is working with the channel. So first of all, we have to unblock our channel. So in Vajrayana, we see the whole channels, whole chakra, all 72,000 channels. There's a deity inside. That's why they call it Vajra body. It's a whole pure land, in the whole mandala in the body. Each and every channel there are deities. If it is blocked by whatever the karmic wind, and then the channels are kind of not the what you call nodes, and so it's for us difficult to realize the Dharmakaya, to realize that our inner the Buddha nature. So the first thing you have to do is you have to unblock the channels. In order to unblock the channels, the prostration. If you have opportunity to do, for example, the Hatha Yoga and all this is in order to open it. But here, the prostration is simply working with the whole 72,000 channels and of course millions of channels. So the whole process, when you're doing the whole process, what you are doing is that you're working, the focusing is on unblock each part and every channel. So you have to stand up, that whole from fingertip till then when you're joining the finger feet, so that until you touch your head on the ground. So what is happening is that you're working with the whole channel. So I can go much detail into that, but yeah, we don't have that much time to talk too much about that. But the one thing we have to keep in mind is that prostration is in order to open our channels, and in other way we can say. So that's more like from the secret explanation of the prostration, and of course then you are kind of purifying your body, kind of all the negative karmas, and especially it is purifying for the karmic wind which is flowing in all the channels to unblock it. So at the same time now you have to do repeat the recitation of the taking a refuge. So what will happen is that at that time, so when you do prostration, there's 3 elements are together. The first, the body is kind of totally involved in doing prostration, and then the second, when you have to kind of continue recitating that refuge. So what will happen? You're working with the wind. You're working with the wind. So as soon as, for example, right now I'm talking with you and you're listening. So as soon as I talk, I'm working with my wind. So because that wind is flowing and then it's coming out. So without wind, I can't even talk. You can't even listen. So when recitating that refuge, then you are working with the wind, which is unblocking the channel through the prostration, and then the winds are purifying. And then at the same time, you have to visualize the whole lineage tree. So when you visualize the whole lineage tree, what is happening is that you're working with the Bindu. Now the Bindu, as I told you, the Bindu can be understood as white Bindu and red Bindu, and at the same time, Bindu can be understood as awareness. Because the awareness of what I'm experiencing right now, that awareness of duality or awareness of Dharmakaya, it depends on the white Bindu and red Bindu. When the red Bindu and white Bindu are separate, so I experience the duality. That's how the secret explanation. And as soon as white Bindu and red Bindu are kind of union in the heart, then I experience the Dharmakaya, the non-duality, the Mahamudra. And why you have to visualize the whole tree and then the whole lineage tree? Because that's a practice of Bindu. When you're visualizing, so there's a whole lineage tree. Lineage tree is simply, as I said somewhere in a different teaching, that lineage tree is a whole channel of your inner body, but your kind of your mind is reflecting outside. There's nothing really reflecting out. As soon as I visualize anything, I'm actually visualizing inside. Even though I think like I'm visualizing outside, but there's nothing really outside, visualizing inside. The whole lineage tree is the channels, which is like, that's why when you look at carefully in the lineage tree, you will find the whole, maybe the branches and the leaves, maybe 72,000 leaves there, the most importantly. And each and every branch, when you look at, there's a whole, the Mahasiddhas and great masters and whole realization, the teachers, lineage master are there. And simply reminding you that your each and every channel has been already kind of, recognized that state of Mahamudra. So that's a kind of a reminder. Many people think, oh, that is big tree. There's not like a literal kind of outside tree, but it's a more like inner channels. And when you do prostration, and always your teachers always emphasize like you have to visualize all the sentient beings, as many sentient beings, include your parents and all the sentient beings, your parents, and you are doing the prostration together. That is very important, because when you look at carefully, what is really happening is that all the sentient beings are here. Some are below the tree, which is area of the red Bindu. And as I told you, the red Bindu is creating that sense of I, and the white Bindu is creating sense of you, in a way that's creating the duality. So now who are those lineage trees? All lineage trees are nothing but all the purest wisdom, because they all are high realization master, which means it's inside you, it's not outside. And then you see all the Kuntu Sampo, the Samandra Bhadra, and what is Samandra Bhadra in the very top, like a white, the Kuntu Sampo we said. So whatever, and then the Dorje Chang, Telupa, Naropa, and all from up, and then so the all the top there's a kind of the Kuntu Sampo, the white Bindu. So when you are doing prostration, what you are really doing is that trying to activate the kind of bringing this, I always say there's a devotion is involved and the compassion to all the sentient beings. So the red Bindu will be easier to come up in a sense. The more the sentient beings, the more that it can activate the lower part of the channel, especially the red Bindu. And then all the lineage masters and all the Dorje Chang and all the Telupa and Naropa and until here, the Kuntu Sangpo. And what will happen is that, so it is more like you are, through the prostration, the visualization, you are inviting the white Bindu down and the red Bindu up. So what really happening, the whole process of prostration is that, first of all, you are purifying your whole channels, are unblocking. Secondly, through the reciting, so you are kind of trying to bring the purest kind of wind, and then unblocking, the purifying the wind. And thirdly, you are inviting the wisdom wind inside your channel. So the whole visualization is not like there's some big tree and that monks from some Tibet, but there are realization, symbolic realization masters. So when you visualize inside, you're actually inviting that wisdom state within your all the channels. So why you have to do repeatedly? Because there are many kind of blockage. Actually, Ngondro, not like only one time. If you possible 2 times, 3 times. I heard many masters they did like a 30 time Ngondro, 40 time. I mean, see, or I don't know, 108. Yeah, one who was that? There was one great master who did 108 like on Ngondro, which means I mean people nowadays when they say, oh, one time Ngondro is almost like they are just scaring, you know. And so, but nevertheless, Vajrayana is in the end you will see that practicing the Tsalung Tikli, the channel, wind, and the Bindu. So the prostration is the very beginning, working with the channels and working with the wind, and then working with the Bindus. And yeah, that the prostration will be very powerful, and I can go even more detail, you know, but I think that much is enough about the prostration.